Good morning, everybody. It's great to be out here today on the American River next to our beautiful American River Parkway, our jewel of Sacramento, the 25 plus mile stretch from Folsom Lake to Discovery Park. This is, of course, one of the region's most visited attractions. 8 million people a year visit our parkway. And we are here today to answer the call of the time here in Sacramento to focus on beautifying and protecting our parkway, while also at the same time addressing the homelessness crisis in California. You know, about 5 years ago, Assemblymember Cooley, Supervisor Cerna, and others wrote a law to protect this parkway, create a state conservancy with the goal to bring more state money to improve the parkway, to improve public access, to make sure that families can come visit the beautiful American River and go swimming or fishing or hiking and biking. And we've been very successful. We've been able to draw $23 million to this parkway to improve this, to improve public access. But we realize that we have another challenge here, and that is the amount of hundreds of homeless individuals, unhoused people who are living on the parkway. Frankly, it's not good for them, and it's not good for the parkway. So we can't continue to bring resources to improve the parkway without also looking at addressing the thing right under our nose. That is hundreds of people living up and down the American River Parkway. So we are pleased to announce that we were able to secure $25 million in the state budget via AB 179. The governor signed this measure into law, and this money is going to Sacramento County to help the parkway with the express purpose of helping get people off of the parkway who are currently homeless into shelter and services. Our county supervisors here will go into a little bit more detail of how that's going to transpire. I will say this is a big deal and a big win for Sacramento. A few months ago, I was talking to Supervisors Desmond and Cerna, talking about their plans, and they said, you know what, if you can help get us $5-10 million, you can make a big difference to get hundreds of people off of the parkway. We were able to answer the call, and deliver $25 million. So it's not only our hope, it's our expectation that we're going to put this money to good use in the near future and remove hundreds of people from our beloved American River Parkway. We're going to provide housing for individuals and services to make sure that this parkway is an asset for the community, as well as help people who are currently unhoused living on the parkway. With that now, I'd like to introduce my partner in this effort for the past 5 years, Assemblymember Ken Cooley.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. You know, the parkway is this exceptional regional jewel. It's a place where our kids are able to get out in nature, see nature, explore nature, discover really the wonder of the world. And for all the families that want to get out in the parkway with their kids, it does matter what is the character of the parkway, how is it maintained. They don't want to encounter violence or human feces or evidence of persons with struggling lives. So to step up, the challenge with homeless is you need to start. You need to begin the fight. 2 years ago in the legislature, we passed funding $2 billion statewide to assist homeless-related programs around all of California. Sacramento County worked with the city of Sacramento, put together a homeless action plan. That had to be done by the end of June. They met that deadline. It went to the state. Later this month, those funds, $2 billion, are going to start to flow, of which Sacramento County can expect to get $7 million. So this is a $25 million announcement specifically related to supportive services for folks being removed from the parkway. And I think it represents a stepping up and acknowledging that the homeless issue is complicated, but part of our American society, we have a lot of different values that are at work, including the value of wilderness, of the out of doors. We're watching Canada geese fly by over here. At sunset, you watch all manner of birds come in and settle on the waterways for the night. Deer are in the parkway, coyotes, foxes. There is just a beauty in the parkway that for decades, the rule of the parkway has been that it is not a place for people after sunset or before sunrise. And that's because we maintain the parkway as a green environment for people to enjoy, but as a habitat for animals, so they're there so our kids can enjoy it and discover it. So this is very, very important to kind of advance what's going on in the county, putting tools in our toolkits. And I know from my personal experience on the city of Rancho Cordova as a founder, you know, in Rancho with 5% of the population for a long, long time, we got more than 30% of the county's homeless and transitional dollars in Rancho at Mather. And I learned from that experience that when you have accountability, services, a program to deliver the services, and you work the program, all manner of things can happen in people's lives, and they're compatible with the communities that they're in the midst of. That's my belief. That's how this program will unfold as we partner with the county providing funding. And I think what I also know is however difficult the circumstance you feel you face in public life, everything has to work through three words: impossible, improbable, inevitable. I believe that we as a state are stepping up now to confront what is going on in the lives of those Californians who are unhoused. How may we help them deal with those circumstances? How can public investment, of which this $25 billion is a very important part to sort of light the fuse on that here in the Parkway. But how do we just move deliberately, getting up every day, those of us in public life, and ask ourselves, how can we move this forward beyond impossible till it just seems merely improbable that you would have success, until it becomes inevitable. It is a great labor. I'm honored to work with Assemblymember McCarty on this. We have worked on it for years. I'm so grateful for his leadership on the budgetary matters, because that is not my strength and forte as a lawmaker. But I certainly recognize the importance of quality of life in all dimensions for all residents of California, and that's what we are working on. And at this point, I'll pass it back to you, Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember Cooley. Now I'd like to bring up our county supervisor representing a little over half of the Parkway, Supervisor Rich Desmond.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblymember McCarty, Assemblymember Cooley, my colleague, Supervisor Cerna, and all of you for being out here today. You know, it really, it strikes me that, look at the 4 elected officials here today, and all 4 of us have such a close, lifelong tie to this American River Parkway. I mean, all of us do who are out here today. I mean, Supervisor Cerna and I literally grew up on the Parkway, you know, as a recreational resource, as a place where I used to do, frankly, some things that aren't allowed anymore on the Parkway, you know, rope swings and things like that. And Mr. Cooley, actually, Assemblymember McCarty, we grew up in kind of the same neighborhood, enjoying this beautiful resource. And the other thing that really strikes me is, you know, we are confronted today with competing obligations that we have at the local, state, federal level. One obligation is to address this humanitarian crisis of so many people living unsheltered in our open spaces, not just the Parkway, but in our streets and other open spaces throughout the state of California. The other competing crisis is, and obligation is the moral obligation we have to protect our valuable environmental resources, protect the flora and fauna, protect the recreational amenity that it provides. These are the dual obligations, competing obligations that we are facing. And this resource from our California legislature, approved by the governor, is so needed to address those competing obligations here on the Parkway. We are working every day at the county to try to identify locations to help get people off the streets into safe, sanitary locations where they can get connected to services, get the treatment they need, and move on to permanent supportive housing. But it takes resources to do that. And with the budget allocation of $25 million, it will go a long way to addressing that crisis, specifically here on the Parkway. And what is just as important about it is it shines a very bright light on the importance of dedicating spaces so we can specifically get folks who are unhoused into a better environment off the Parkway. So I just want to thank everybody again, but I want a message to the public directly is what I ask of you is to engage in this process. understand what we are trying to do here. Come to us with your ideas, because right now, Supervisor Cerna and I, we have directed county staff to start developing a plan on how we will be able to use these funds from the state. A plan specifically to find locations for shelter, transitional housing, tiny homes in areas adjacent to the parkway, so we can spend that money wisely and put it to good use and achieve the objective of getting folks out of harm's way and protecting the parkway. But the public needs to be engaged in that process. They need to work with us in this process and understand the complexity and the magnitude of this crisis and what we're facing. So I ask for your help and your support. But once again, thank you to our legislators in the area and your dedication to this wonderful resource and your assistance to our efforts here in the County of Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is County Supervisor Phil Cerna, represents the majority of the city of Sacramento and the unincorporated county along this parkway. Also a member of our state Lower American River Parkway Conservancy, which is focused on delivering resources to this beautiful asset. Supervisor?
Thank you. Well, good morning. One of the benefits of batting cleanup amongst the other electeds is I don't have to say much. It's already been said, but I do want to start by appropriately thanking Assembly members Cooley and McCarty for their leadership on AB 179 that has secured a quite rare appropriation measured in the tens of millions, as has been mentioned, to benefit not just the ecosystem and the recreational asset that we know as the parkway, and for us native Sacramentans, it's a resource that we obviously cherish for good reason, but I would say equally, if not more important, it is intended to help people. And first and foremost, the one thing I want to make sure everyone comes away from this event today is that this is not about rousting people out of the parkway. We have an obligation, as Supervisor Desmond has said, to make sure that if we are going to require or ask people to move from the parkway, because it's not intended to be a livable space, we have that obligation to make sure that we offer alternatives. And so that's what this appropriation really means to me, alongside the nearly $200 million that the County of Sacramento appropriates every year to address homelessness. And by the way, that continues to increase, whether it's through the use of our American Rescue Act plan dollars or our general fund budgeting exercises that we go through each June and September. And again, I want to stress the kind of the rarity, the uniqueness of having this kind of partnership, to have the ability to tap into state resources to advance the common goal, whether you're a legislator at the Capitol or a county supervisor downtown. I think it speaks to the benefit of governing at both levels in a capital city, in a capital region that really values its parkway, but even more so, its people. So again, I want to thank our legislators. I want to thank the governor for his signature on the bill that appropriates the funds. As Supervisor Desmond alluded to, there will be a very deliberate, methodical way that the county goes about appropriating those funds in detail to make sure that we're achieving those common goals of saving our American River Parkway and helping people that need the help the most. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Next, I'd like to bring up Keith Coolidge, representative from the American River Parkway Foundation. He's on their board. This is a tremendous volunteer organization, not doing it for fame or fortune, but really because their love and care of the parkway. Just last weekend, picked up a tremendous amount of trash up and down the parkway, and thank you for your efforts to beautify our parkway. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember. On behalf of the American River Parkway Foundation, I want to express our appreciation to Assembly members Kevin McCarty and Ken Cooley for recognizing the crisis on the parkway and shepherding this budget bill through the legislature. It takes a lot of effort to get a small amount of money. This was a large amount of money, and thank you very much. And to Supervisors Rich Desmond and Phil Cerna, our thanks for all that you have done so far, and our pledge to work with you to continue to protect the Parkway and the lives of those who use it. Spanning 23 miles, covering 4,800 acres, the Parkway is used each year by about 8 million people, enthusiasts, families, and those looking to refresh or recreate themselves. It is also a prime ecological treasure and a wildlife sanctuary. Since 1983, the American River Parkway Foundation has been a leader on conservation on the Parkway. We're currently the only nonprofit that focuses on active conservation of the full length of the Parkway, our urban jewel. We operate volunteer programs that remove trash and invasive plants and maintain trails and infrastructure. We want to ensure that the Parkway is an accessible space for all. But the Parkway is in crisis. The city and county of Sacramento, indeed almost all of California, is experiencing a rise in the number of unhoused individuals like we have not seen since the Great Depression. Ground zero for all of that is right here on the American River Parkway, with more than 2,000 individuals can be found living along this stretch from Sacramento to Hazel Avenue every day. This is leading to humanitarian, public health, safety, and environmental repercussions that can take decades to recover from. Our mile stewards see this degradation of the Parkway every day. Just last Saturday, during the Great American River Cleanup, more than 1,400 volunteers removed almost 41,000 pounds of trash from the Parkway, including hypodermic needles, other drug paraphernalia, as well as trash and human waste. This is what drove the American River Parkway Foundation last January to send a demand letter to the city and county asking for a plan to address the crisis with goals and timelines so that we, the public, can understand what they are doing and they can be accountable. Since then, we've had ongoing conversations with elected officials, city and county staff, local business leaders, advocates for the unhoused, and our fellow Parkway stakeholders about how we can drive solutions. We understand this is not an easy task. It requires the concerted effort of elected officials at all levels, as well as community and business leaders and residents to work together to provide housing and especially the services needed to help the unhoused and protect the environment of the Parkway. Again, we appreciate Assembly Members McCarty and Cooley for their efforts to bring state resources to the table and help fund these discussions. The $25 million outlined in the state budget, now the county's budget, can help with finding those living on the Parkway the shelter and services they need and deserve. Addressing this crisis is an important step to the overall conservation of the Parkway, and we look forward to continuing to work closely with leaders at all levels to address the challenge.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to bring up Tracy with Women's Empowerment and Hope Cooperative. Tracy's going to share her story and the work that she does, and it's just a major reminder of why we're here today and what we attempt to accomplish. Tracy?
Thank you. What an honor it is to be here today. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tracy Knickerbocker, and I am a Women's Empowerment graduate. I was asked to share my story in 2 to 5 minutes, so here goes.
Good deal, Tracy.
I would like to start by saying that from 2000 until 2010, I was homeless, living on the American River Parkway. In fact, I was living right out there on the other side, all the way clear out to Discovery Park. I am one of the ones that was digging holes, tearing down trees, building structures, leaving hypodermic syringe needles all over, accumulating garbage. I am one of those. I am one of the ones responsible for that. I did that. I'm not proud of that, but that's my story, part of my story. I was living in the bushes. I used methamphetamine daily, and a lot of it. I was on Social Security disability. I was receiving a check. I spent all my money on methamphetamine, tobacco, coffee and soda, and I ate at loaves and fishes. I was hopeless. I just wanted to die. I was angry. It was everyone else's fault. So while being out there homeless for the 10 years, there were a lot of folks that came out there and offered me services, and I told them no. Sometimes I'd cuss you out, but people kept coming back. Some of the same people kept coming back. They showed an interest in me. They were showing me kindness in spite of my behavior, in spite of myself. They were poking holes in my heart with their kindness, always offering to help with bags or water, sometimes prayer. I tell them no, 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 and then after 10 years, I got to that point for many reasons I won't get into, but I got to a point I was ready. I knew I was done. I knew I wanted to make a difference. And because of the services that are offered, today I'm clean and sober for over 14 years. Thank you. I am a women's empowerment graduate. And if you don't know about women's empowerment, please Google it and learn all about it. It's a program for homeless or at-risk homeless women that are looking to try to transition into the workforce. There's more to the program, and it's worth Googling. I was able to get into permanent supportive housing with weekly case management. I was able to get my first set of dentures. Like, I had no idea how poor my nutrition was because of my lack of the ability to chew my food. I had lost the desire to smile because my mouth was so ugly, with lost teeth, brown, black, chipped, missing. When I got my first set of dentures, and that was a gift by L. Hogar Guest House at that time. So I got a gift of my first set of dentures, and when I got my dentures, it took some adjusting, but all I do is I just want to smile. I am so happy. I am joyful. So I said I was on Social Security disability, and I had been on Social Security disability for mental health reasons for over 20 years, and now I have been working full-time since 2015. I work at Hope Cooperative as a homeless, in their homeless outreach program. I'm a case manager. Is that awesome? I get to
Very empathetic case manager,
I get to show by example to my unhoused neighbors and to my homeless family that I still stay in touch with that it's possible, and the steps it took for me to get from there to where I am today. I have found my passion, thanks be to God. However, I could go on and on about the blessings that I have received by the services that had been offered to me. But the most humbling blessing I have gotten is finding my passion in the work that I do as a case manager, supporting and offering encouragement, empower with our unhoused neighbors. I've been working at Hope Cooperative for 5 years. Again, I'm part of the homeless outreach program as a case manager. I have notes, but I was winging it, and obviously I went through everything that I did and want to share. And so I want to say thank you so much for hearing my story. Thank you very much.
All right, Tracy.
Woo! Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know how to top that.
Yeah.
Really, we're here today because of Tracy. We're trying to make a bunch of Tracy's a reality, and that's the purpose why we're here. What this $25 million is for shelter and services. It's not to give additional money for the counties to rouse people up and move them. That's another conversation that the city and county are having, ongoing discussions about. This is answering the call to what are you going to do next? Shelter and services. I also want to recognize two other people with us up here today. No one loves the American River Parkway more than Mr. Mark Baker with Sacramento Picks It Up, who you see out here literally almost every day picking up trash along the parkway. And Stephen Green, who volunteers his time with Save the American River organization. So thank you both for your commitment to the parkway. That concludes our formal presentation. We can certainly now engage any questions from the media. Okay, seeing no questions from the media, we can certainly engage you afterwards if you have any one-on-ones. You have a question? Yeah, Supervisor Cerna outlined a bit of it, and maybe you can engage right now.
What's the question?
Well, and if I could just jump in and state the obvious, that the money, this $25 million is new. So there's a public process that they will use. They've had a long ongoing process, as Supervisor Cerna said. There's vast expenditures made annually. They have a plan they're working, but they have a new plan that's being implemented. So the money being new, they do need to develop a plan specific to this money. And so that process has just been triggered. But with that.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll just add that, as has been mentioned, the $25 million is not simply a blank check without a common understanding of what our collective intent is. And our collective intent is what we've articulated here during the last 15 minutes or so. But in terms of the process at the county, it'll be a public process. It will involve our executive staff that will certainly advise the Board of Supervisors in terms of what is the most efficient and effective way to make use of the $25 million to achieve the objectives of providing shelter and services, so that we can balance that equation with the need to protect the ecosystem of the parkway.
Any other questions from members of the media? I know there's some citizens here who want to engage us. We can do that after the press conference, but any other media questions? Seeing no other media questions, that will conclude our press conference, and we'll come answer your questions afterwards. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.